Imagine a play so horrendous that it single-handedly ruined a career. We're going to show you the worst plays in NFL history. And they aren't just bad. They've caused players to leave teams. They've stained great careers forever. And some of these moments will never be lived down. And the worst play of all? No one over the age of 8 would ever do this. Yet someone did. This is the Gridiron. 10. Danny Smith. Danny Smith was the special teams coach in Washington for a period of time. He felt like he had a big bag of tricks, but he should have left this one at home. In a game against the Giants, Washington was down 24-0, and there were just 2 seconds left in the half. They were in field goal range, but they weren't happy with the idea of coming away with only 3 points. They wanted more. The team lined up for a kick, but then most of the team was motioned to the left. 4 guys were left behind the ball, and before the snap, they motioned away the kicker too. They hiked the ball to Smith, and no one blocked for him. He got smashed while he tried to throw a ball to God knows who. The play was so bad. Not only were the Washington fans booing, but even the announcers were speechless. 9. Sean Landeta. Special teams debacles aren't always because of the coach. Sometimes it's the players. The thing about punters and the nature of their job is if they're remembered, then it's not for a good reason. The play Sean Landeta is remembered for? It's worse than not good. In the 1985 NFC Championship game, deep in their own territory, the Giants had to punt. Sean Landeta lined up to do the one thing he gets paid to do for the team. And he absolutely whiffed on the punt. He didn't even connect a shoelace with the ball. One of the Bears' defenders scooped it up for the easy touchdown. Landeta's nerves must have messed up his foot-eye coordination on this play. 8. Brett Favre. With a nickname like the Gunslinger, Brett Favre had some amazing highlights, along with plenty of lowlights. But the worst time to have a lowlight was in the 2009 NFC Championship game against the Saints. It was a tie game with 19 seconds left in regulation. Favre and the Vikings were already in field goal range. They looked poised to head to the Super Bowl. They hiked the ball looking to get closer. Favre rolled to his right and committed the ultimate quarterback cardinal sin, throwing back across his body. He was hoping to hit Sidney Rice, but the Saints defender had a much better position, and Favre's arm couldn't put enough mustard on the pass. It was intercepted, so the game went into overtime, where Favre and his Vikings lost. And lost because Favre made a pass that they teach kids in the Pee-wees not to make. 7. Miracle at the Meadowlands. It was the miracle at the Meadowlands for one franchise, not so much for the other team. November 19, 1978. A big division game between the Giants and the Eagles. The Giants had the lead and the ball with under 30 seconds left in the game. The Eagles were out of timeouts. The Giants quarterback, Joe Pisarcik, just needed to run the clock out, and he intended to do so by handing the ball off. But he completely botched the handoff. In a confusing, spinning twirl, he knocked the ball out of his own hands and left it on a silver platter for Herm Edwards to scoop up and run back 26 yards for the game-winning touchdown. A miracle for Philly, a travesty for New York, and a stain on Pisarcik's career. But this was also the play that inspired the kneel down. 6. The Butt Punt. We now move from the knee to the butt. One of the worst plays to bounce off a player's butt, the butt punt. The Dolphins were leading the Bills 21-17. There was only about a minute and a half left in the game, and the Dolphins had to punt from their own end zone. They just had to get it out safely. Instead, the personal protector, Sherfield, backed up too far, and Thomas Morstead, the punter, didn't avoid him. The punt ricocheted right off Sherfield's butt and out the back of the end zone for a safety. The 4-point lead requiring the Bills to get a touchdown to win was changed to a 2-point lead, which the Bills could overcome with only a field goal. Thankfully, the Dolphins' defense saved Sherfield's butt by not letting the Bills score and securing the win. 5. The butt fumble. But the worst play to bounce off a butt has to be the infamous butt fumble. It was Thanksgiving. While everyone was eating turkey, Mark Sanchez of the Jets was intent on having some rump roast. On a seemingly broken play, he tried to run the ball himself. Vince Wilfork was shoving Brandon Moore back hard, and somehow Sanchez didn't see the backside of his 313-pound guard. He ran right into him, fumbled the ball, gave the Patriots their third touchdown in that game, and birthed the butt fumble. It's the play Mark Sanchez will always be remembered for. 4. Leon Lett. But a worse Thanksgiving blunder would be the one by Leon Lett of the Cowboys. A snowy game where scores were difficult to come by. The Dolphins were trying to win the game down 14-13. They lined up to kick the field goal, but it was blocked. All of Dallas was celebrating as the win was theirs. Until Leon Lett did the unthinkable. He ran for the ball and clumsily slid into it. Since he touched it, the Dolphins were able to recover. And now they got the ball on the 1-yard line with 3 seconds remaining. The Dolphins were able to try another field goal. On the second attempt, the kick was good, and they won 16-14. Leon Lett stole a win away from his own team. 3. Jacoby Myers. The Patriots were playing the Raiders. It was 24-24 with 3 seconds left, and the Pats had the ball around midfield. You figured they'd kneel and take the game into overtime, but instead they called a running play. Ramondre Stevenson made a few defenders miss and gained significant yardage. Stevenson saw Jacoby Myers wide open and tossed it back to him. The lateral game had begun. To keep the play going, Myers decided to throw the ball back to Chandler Jones? He didn't play for the Patriots anymore. Jones then steamrolled Mac Jones in a pathetic attempt to tackle him and bulldozed his way to a game-winning touchdown. A lot of blame could be handed out, but most of it went to Jacoby Myers, who tossed the ball right to the Raiders. The Raiders loved how Myers helped them win so much that they signed him to their team the very next year. 2. Chuck Pagano. Chuck Pagano was an assistant coach for the Raiders and Browns, and a defensive coordinator for the Ravens and Bears. But he will be most remembered for his time as the head coach for the Colts, and for this one specific play. He called a fake punt, but he also broadcasted this fake punt. He had his team line up in a formation that could only be described as a 0% chance of success play. What was Pagano thinking? Lining up all but 2 people on the ball. The Patriots were all over the Colts before they can even secure the ball. What was the plan? Where was that guy going to go? Besides the play being a horrendous choice, the best part was they didn't even execute it right. The refs threw a flag and their call was illegal formation. The whole right side of the line was not on the line of scrimmage. The whole right side? They must not have practiced this one much.
Illegal formation. The whole right side of the line was not on the line of scrimmage. Offense. This penalty is declined. The result of the play is first down for New England.
1. Jim Marshall. But the worst play you'll ever see wasn't committed by a punter or some player who didn't start. It was actually by a Vikings legend, Jim Marshall, an Iron Man, a quarterback crusher, a gifted athlete, a man who on October 25, 1964, showed us that he was mortal. The 49ers had the ball. They passed it to Kilmer. Kilmer was trying to shed tackles and in the process fumbled the ball. And there was Jim Marshall to recover the ball, and then he started running the wrong way. What happened? Did he get disoriented? Why did he think that was the correct direction to run? There was no one in front of him. And why weren't any of his teammates telling him to turn around? Jim Marshall did what only some kids do in rec leagues. He ran the wrong way. And even kids learn not to do that early on. Marshall thought he got a touchdown, but instead he got a safety for the other team. Some of these plays will live in infamy, and no matter how fast these players run to the other end zone, they won't outrun these historical plays. These moments are permanent stains on their resumes. They just have to hope that there are more bloopers in the future so we'd one day forget.